The powerful depend on us believing we're powerless. But across history, it's been ordinary people linked by courage and love who've shifted the narrative. Standing together, we can change the game. Welcome to Spiritual Geography. I'm Joni Miller. When I hear stories about billionaires manipulating social media, public opinion, or even entire economies, I keep seeing the same image in my mind. It's absurd and unsettling all at once. The image is of a rotund leader hunched over a game board, eating melted chocolates, sticky fingers smearing the figurines he pushes across a battlefield as if it's all a child's game. He handles the figures the way you'd flick lint, carelessly, thoughtlessly, convinced the whole board exists for his amusement. But these tiny figures breathe and they bleed. They're us. We're the ones being tossed about this invisible game board. What gets erased in these games is the fact that people are connected, woven into one another's well-being. That's what power loses sight of first, the bonds of care that make life together possible. People who operate from appetite alone never understand what actually threatens their power. People who remember their connection, their care for one another, and their love for something far larger than the game. When I look at the news this week, that image doesn't feel abstract. It feels like a metaphor for what's unfolding right now. Take the boat strikes in the Caribbean, for example. Operations conducted from such a distance that the people destroyed become indistinct shapes, treated as if they were tiny chess pieces rather than humans with names and families. Or look at Ukraine, where the threat isn't merely invasion, it's the circling of ravenous oligarchs, treating a nation's suffering as an opportunity for acquisition, as though war was simply another square being played on the board. What makes these moments so chilling isn't merely the violence, but the absence of relationship, of any felt connection to the lives being altered. Love, at its most elemental, is the refusal to look away from another person's humanity. And these systems of power survive by training us to look away. Both situations show what happens when people with power see only pieces, units to be moved, obstacles to be removed, assets to be claimed. This is a story as old as civilization. Power concentrates money, and wealth erases memory, especially the memory of our interdependence. So the cycle continues. More money creates more power, which creates more what? Indifference? Disregard for human life? A widening distance between the one with sticky fingers and the people who pay the price. But we aren't carved figurines. We're human beings, capable of imagination and the kind of loyalty to one another that no ruler can understand. The entire system depends on us believing we are pawns with no voice, no imagination, and no choices of our own. A single pawn can be nudged without resistance, but many pawns, awake, aware, and refusing to play someone else's game, become something else entirely. They become a force. They become a collective conscience. They become a line that can't be silently rearranged. What makes that collective so powerful isn't anger. It's the love that binds people to one another, reminding us that none of us can face these battles in isolation. And that unity begins in the smallest, most personal of ways, by remembering we each carry an inner compass that no supreme leader, oligarch, or manipulator can reach. That compass is shaped by what we cherish. Our love for our own dignity, our love for the people our lives touch, and our love for the greater mystery that keeps pulling us towards something more humane. Every manipulative system depends on severing love, on separating people from their own values, from one another, and from the greater good. And every liberation begins when those connections start knitting back together. This dynamic, power treating people like pieces, isn't new. Throughout history, we've seen what happens when ordinary people remember who they are and who they are to one another. Think about the Philippines in 1986. Ferdinand Marcos had the military, the money, and the machinery of the state. Everything designed to keep people afraid and disconnected. But when the people power movement rose, ordinary citizens, mothers, clergy, and students standing arm in arm in the streets, the entire regime collapsed without a shot fired. A dictator fell because the pawns refused to move in isolation. Their unity shifted the whole board. Or consider Poland in the 1980s. The Solidarity movement began with shipyard workers who chose to trust one another, choosing courage and community to fight against an oppressive regime. What started as a local strike grew into a national force that helped bring down an entire system. Their connection made them impossible to silence. And sometimes we see this truth most clearly in stories. In The Lord of the Rings, it isn't the mighty warriors or the great kings who turn the tide. It's the hobbits, small, overlooked, rarely venturing beyond their own fields. But their loyalty, their stubborn hope, and their love for each other and for their home overcame powerful armies. Middle-earth is saved not by domination, but by those who remember what's worth saving. It's saved by love. Across continents and centuries, stories real and imagined, the pattern is the same. When ordinary people protect what they love and choose solidarity over fear, the game collapses, the board changes, and what once seemed immovable begins to fall. All of this brings me back to the game board, the sticky fingers, the indifferent leader, the people treated like pieces. These systems of power depend on us believing that's the whole story, that we're small and expendable, that we're alone. But we're not. The power that topples regimes and bends history toward justice isn't born from wealth or brutality. It's born from love. Love that refuses to abandon our own dignity. Love that refuses to look away from the suffering of others. And love that connects us to something larger than the game being played above our heads. You don't have to defeat the ruler at the board. You just have to refuse to play his game. Choose your humanity. Extend it to others. Tie your life to the larger love that keeps pulling us toward justice, courage, and community. We pawns aren't powerless, not when we love. We don't understand the mysteries of the universe, but we can grow more love. Love for ourselves, love for others, and love for the infinite mystery that lays beyond our understanding. Thank you for tuning in.